For assignment 3, you are going to be adding loops and conditionals to your program. So this should be a lot of fun. And we're going to change your program so that it's a menu-driven program, meaning that when your program runs, you'll present the user with a menu and then they will make a choice. And then you'll keep doing that until the user chooses to quit. So one of the options in your menu will be to quit. Here's my sample run. I'm going to print my welcome message, and then I'm going to use a conditional to decide if the user will get a discount. They'll get a discount if their order is over $50. That they will get a 10% discount. And then I'm going to print my menu, and the options that the user has is to add an item, print the total, or to check out. When they add an item, it's just the same code that I've written before. And I'll add a couple items here, and then I'll select to print the total. And it'll print the current total and whatever the current total is. And then when I check out, it'll say please pay. Then I'm going to add another conditional, because what if my user doesn't order anything? What if they run the program and then they immediately enter 3 to check out? Well, I don't want to say please pay $0, so I'll just make a message, no items purchased. If they don't buy anything, I'll print no items purchased. And then for the discount, after they choose to check out, I'll check their total, and if it's over $50, I'll give them a 10% discount and then subtract that from their total pay. So what do I need to add? So I need to add a menu choice that will be an integer. Here is my new main function. I'll print the menu, and while the user wants to run the program, I'll get the menu choice. If it's to add the item, I'll get the item name, quantity, unit price, calculate the total price, and add it to a running total. I'm going to have an accumulator variable that will keep track of the total each time they add an item. If the choice is to print the total, I'll print the total. And then if they choose to quit, it'll hop out of this loop, and then I will apply a 10% discount if it's over 50. If the total is over 50, update the total to be 10% less. And then if the user doesn't purchase any items, I'll print a message that no items were purchased, else I'll print total price to pay. So here are the new functions to print the menu, and that'll print a list of menu options, and then get choice will get the menu choice and then return it. Okay, and so that's my thinking of how I'm going to do my program before I even start running. Here's my program, and the first thing I want you to do is actually get the menu working. So to do that, we're going to need to make a int variable. We'll call that choice. And I'm going to print the welcome menu, and then while choice is not equal to, I think it was 3, right? 3, the third one was to check out. I want to do something. Okay, so I want to actually print the menu, and then I want to update the choice. I'm going to have to make those two functions. Let's go down here and make the print menu function. The print menu isn't going to return anything. It'll be a void function, right? And it's just going to print the menu. So it'll print add total, print the total, and check out. That'll be the print menu. And then the get choice, that's going to prompt for a choice and then return it. I'll just add that right here. I'll create a variable choice. I'll print out enter the choice. I'll read it in, and then I'm going to just get that new line just because I'm using getLine and cin in the same program. You'll want to do that, and then I'll return the choice. So remember, this is just because we're using getLine to read in a name that has spaces. And when you mix up getLine and cin in the same program, you have to extract that new line character after you use a cin. I'll do that, and I'll get the choice. I'm going to go ahead and, we have to do our function prototypes. So I'll put those up at the top. And I'll just get rid of these little spaces right here. Okay, and then let's go ahead and run this. Okay, and it says, welcome to Allen's Market. And then it prints the menu and it enters a choice. If I do 1, it'll just print it again. 2, it prints it again. 3, and then it goes into prompting for the item. Because all I wanted to do is make sure that my menu was actually working. So then we'll put the logic inside this while loop. Okay, so I have my menu working. So again, I'm going to keep looping while the choice is not equal to 3. And I'm going to make a constant, and I'll call that checkout. Because we don't really want to have any magic numbers, right, in our program. So constant int checkout, and I'll assign that 3. Okay, while the choice isn't checkout, I'll print the menu and get the choice. So now I'm ready to add the logic, right? So if the choice is equal to 1, I'll do something. Else, if the choice is equal to 2, I'll do something else, right? And if it's 3, it will just go back up to the top, and this will be false, and so it will hop out of while loop. I only really have to test if it's a 1 or a 2, because the 3 will cause the loop to stop. And instead of using magic numbers, I'll go ahead and make constants. So constant int, and then we'll call this like add item, and that'll be a 1, and then constant int print total, and that'll be a 2. So I'll change this to add item, and then I'll change this to print total. Okay, so what do I want to do if they choose to add an item? I want to do this stuff, right? Okay, I want to get the item name, get the price, get the unit price, calculate the price, and add it to total price. But I don't want to just add it to total price. I don't want to set total price to that value, right? I want to add it each time they add an item, because this is going to be an accumulator variable. I'm going to set total price to total price plus the calculated in unit price, right? If it's a 1, I'll do all this, and then I'll add the total price. If it's a 2, so I can delete this now, I want to print the total that's due. And so I'm thinking I have 2 ways to print the total, right? I have a current total, and then I say please pay. But these are really just printing the total. So I think I'm going to change my print total to pass it a string in current total. And then if they choose to print the total while the program is running, it'll print the current total. But then after they end, I'll print the total and it'll say please pay. I'm just going to make this one function more flexible. I'm going to go up here, print the total. I'm going to pass it a string, and I'll just call that prompt. So I'll go down to my print total, and we'll take care of that. So prompt. So instead of saying please pay, I'm going just to print out the prompt. Like that. And I probably want new lines in there. Let's go ahead and run that now. And it seems like I might have one spacing error here. I don't really like that extra space, so I'll just take that out. And then let's go ahead and run. Okay, so I'll add an item as to 45 cents, and let's print the total. The current total is 90 cents, and see current total 90 cents. And then I'll add an item, bread 1, $4.53. I'll print the total. Now it's $5.46, and then I'll check out. So I have a please pay message, and then thank you for shopping, and then the program has ended. Okay, that looks like that's all working now. So now what I have to do is add the discount, right? And then I have to add the message if they don't buy anything. So when I hop out, I can add some logic to test if it's over $50 and then to see if they've purchased anything. So I'm going to test if the total price is over $50, and then I'll print you saved and then the calculation for the discount. So total price times a discount. So I have to make a constant float discount equals 10%. I'll give them the discount, and then I'll update the total price. And then I'll check to see if they've purchased anything. And I know they've purchased anything if their total price is greater than 0. So if their total price is greater than 0, I'll print the message to please pay that amount. Otherwise, I'm going to say no items were purchased, and then I'll print the goodbye message. Let's go ahead and see how that works. And this is, so I'll do a 1, enter item bananas to 45 cents. And then I'll buy something really expensive, like a coffee maker. I'll buy one of those, and it's $89.89. And I'll print my total, and then I'll check out. And it says you saved, right? I got the 10% discount, and so I only have to pay $81.71. Let's run it one more time. And I'm going to just go ahead and check out, and it says no items purchased. So there you go. My program uses conditionals. I have 2 conditionals, one to check for the discount, one to see if they've purchased anything. And then I have a discount in my while loop, or not a discount, a conditional in my while loop to test for the option that they chose on the menu. So if they chose to add an item, I'll do this. Else, if they chose to print the total, I'll do this. And I'm going to keep looping until they choose to check out. Okay, so when you start your program, think about how you want to add a menu item, and then think about how you want to add conditionals, and get your menu loop working first, and then add your logic inside the while loop to process the different menu options.